Looks like we don't have a lot more people joining. So, all right, let's get started. So welcome everybody to our 12th webinar in the Ready, Set, Roman training series. This series is being put on by the Science Support Center, the SSC at IPAC, as well as the Science Operations Center, the SOC at Space Telescope Science Institute. I'm Tiffany Meshcott. I'm the Community Engagement Lead for Roman at the SSC. And I'm excited to welcome you all today to an exciting presentation about the top help desk questions and office hours. And just to note that this is our last webinar before the Roman Cycle 1 proposal deadline, which is next Tuesday. So this is a great opportunity to ask any remaining questions you may have for our help desk team. And you're welcome to ask any questions in the chat at any time. And then after we present a few slides, we will open up the floor to questions if people want to unmute and just ask questions directly. Okay, next slide. All right, just a reminder, these are the most recent webinars we've had in the Ready, Set, Roman training series. And a reminder that the goal of these webinars is to help you prepare for the Cycle 1 call for proposals. Today we're on webinar 12. Which is the last webinar before the Cycle 1 proposal deadline, which is next Tuesday. And just a reminder that all of our slides and video recordings are available on our Outer Space page, which you can see here, and also on our YouTube page, which is at Nancy Roman Sci. Okay, so in a moment, I'll pass the floor to Vivian Yu, who's the Roman proposal team lead, to talk about some late breaking news. Just a reminder that you can put questions in the chat at any time, and we will address them as we can. Okay, all right, I will pass the floor to you, Vivian.
All right, thanks, Tiffany. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Sounds good. Yeah, if you could just please advance the slide. All right, so yeah, hopefully by now most of the community, if not all the proposers, are aware of the late breaking news page that is on the Roman user documentation website under the Cycle 1 call for proposals called Late Breaking News, which brings to you a lot of the latest and newest update items that you might find relevant for writing your proposals. And so I'll just highlight that some of these include, we now have a list of the data products from the wide field science teams, as well as the project infrastructure teams that you might find useful, depending on when the timeline and what the data products would be that might be relevant to the proposals that you're writing, as well as some of the Roman Research Nexus. If you're wondering how to estimate, the Nexus credit that you should be putting in your proposal, then there's a really helpful article on the benchmarking examples for how do you estimate Roman Research Nexus credits. And I won't go through all of these, but I think that if you want to check out the late breaking news, please do so on the RDocs page. I think some of the top questions that we'll be answering might address some of these as well. Next slide. So in terms of the proposals from the proposal perspective, I think there's just a couple of the FAQs that I wanted to address because we've been seeing a lot of help desk questions that come in different flavors, actually, about a couple of the topics. But as I go into these, if I didn't answer it in the exact same way that you had questions, please feel free to follow up either by unmuting or through the chat. But anyway, so one of the questions that we often get asked is it allowed to request observing time, for instance, through long-term monitoring that may extend beyond the first 2 years of the mission? And if so, will the total approved time be counted toward the 1,200 available hours within the Cycle 1 allocation? And so I wanted to clarify that, while the Cycle 1 solicitation states that up to 6 observing programs and up to 1,200 hours will be approved in the first couple years of the mission's operation, a proposal may request multi-epoch operations that go beyond that nominal duration of Cycle 1, given a compelling science justification. And so, but however, do note that the approved time will be counted toward that 1,200 hours available in Cycle 1. I'm going to pause for just a few seconds here and see if there's any questions from the community that I should clarify on this point.
There's nothing in the chat right now. If anyone has questions, you're welcome to put it in the chat, or you can unmute and ask. Okay.
Well, maybe questions will come later, so
Yeah.
I can move on to the second of the proposal questions. If you can advance the slide, please. Okay. So another question or series of questions that often came to our team regards the budgets and the process. So here the question is, will there be a second phase for approved programs in which detailed budgets and institutional endorsements would be requested? And so in that sense, the Roman proposal process does not solicit detailed budgets or institutional endorsements. Proposers should select a proposal category, small, medium, large, commensurate with the expected level of effort that corresponds to the funding levels as listed in the call itself. So the specific amount in the funding awards will be determined through formulaic means based on the final availability of NASA funds, the selected proposal category, the total number of approved programs, the complexity of data to be analyzed, and other relevant factors. So it's very important that you read the call and then also read the instructions in the proposal template to see the kind of information that might be expected in specifying the needs for your proposal so that it could be evaluated for funding at a later stage. And I'll again pause there for a couple seconds and see if there are more questions on that note I can help to clarify.
I do have a
Oh, I
question in
see.
the chat. Could you tell us more about how funding will work? Within each proposal category, after proposals have been selected, will it be based on the amount of investigator funding support, for example, 2 years of graduate student support that we list in the proposal's work plan?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Julie. That's a very good one. So exactly what you've listed is one of the major factors that would be used to determine the funding support, but that would not be the only factor. I imagine that there will be, when you list, for instance, the amount of the area of the sky that might be you'll be using for your investigation, that might add to the level of complexity, for instance, that could involve or influence the amount of funding that could be awarded. So be as detailed as you can. Definitely include, in a dual anonymous compliant way, the amount of personnel effort that will be needed, but also, just be as detailed as possible. And so we'll have formulaic means to determine the funding level within that proposal category to assign the final funding award. I hope that answered the question, but please let me know if not.
She says that helps a lot. Thank you. I actually have a follow-up question about that. So, should proposers include something like a percent of FTEs or something for like if you're saying a graduate student, should you be saying like one full FTE or half, you want to pay half the graduate student salary or something like that? Is that level of detail needed or
Yeah, I think that's
something like that?
consistent with actually Julie's question where she listed, for example, 2 years of grad student support. So that would be,
Full time.
100, yeah, one FTE for 2 years kind of thing, right? So that's listing the level of details, yeah.
But then, for example, if for example a proposal said 2 years of graduate student support, but there was a PI, how do they say should they say with X percent support for the PI or for the graduate student advisor or something like that?
Yes, the amount of work that would be needed to, for the success of the proposed investigation.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I guess as much detail as people can provide, it would be useful. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions from people?
Okay, well, if not, or I'm still around to answer some more questions, but I think I'll turn it over back to you.
Okay, thank you. All right, so I have just here space for open question time. Um, this is fully open. If people have any questions, any issues that you've had, things you want to talk about, if you've maybe submitted a help desk question and you were not satisfied with the answer, you can ask it here again. And remember, you can always submit to the help desk if you have any other questions. But this is a time to talk to us directly if you want to talk about anything. So feel free. We have a question. I'm interested in observing faint extended objects. Where can I find information about how accurate the flat fielding would be, and if is there any offset in flux between adjacent tiles? Does someone on the call want to field that question?
Uh, that might be me. Um, so, right. The flat fielding accuracy, so we're in the process of updating RDocs with more information about the instrument characterization. So you should be able to go there quite soon and see more information about that. But if you have specific questions about that, I do suggest contacting the help desk because even if it's not published in RDocs right now, we do have some good information about that, and we can share that through a response to the help desk ticket. As to the offset and flux between adjacent tiles, there should not be an offset and flux. The level 3 data products, when we generate them, we do sky background matching, and we put uh, the pixels into absolute surface brightness units. So they're flux calibrated onto an absolute scale in megajanskis per steradian. So you should not see any differences in flux that are not real.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? People are also welcome to unmute, or you can type if you have your questions.
There's something I wanted to add about the last question, Tiffany, to Lee.
Go ahead. Yeah.
The we because Roman hasn't launched yet, it's difficult to answer detailed questions about how accurate the calibrations will be. So at this point, all we can do is base answers on ground test data and requirements that we have for the mission. And whatever other test data that we have from simulations through the pipelines and things like that. So the ultimate arbiter of the answers of these kinds of questions will come from commissioning and afterwards. So I think proposers should use their best judgment based on the information we have from the ground calibrations and the expectations and the accuracies of the pipeline, knowing that we'll update with information once we get in on flight, obviously. So, cycle one, people will just have to do their best based on the expectations that we have right now.
Yes, and certainly you can comment on this as well, Vivian. But the evaluations from uh, the 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 TAC that reviews all these proposals will take into account, though, that information is not the telescope's not in flight, so this is the information the proposers have. They're using the information they have. Okay. Any additional questions? Again, you're welcome to unmute or type.
Sorry, let me add one more point
Please,
to that
please.
last part. It's just because, why not put a finer point on it? The people doing the reviews, which I think is what you're getting at, Tiffany, will have the same information as the people doing the proposals. They will not have additional information about the quality of the data or how well the pipelines work or anything. So they'll be in the same boat. So the proposals will get reviewed using the same information that we have now, which we're trying to make available.
Yes, thank you. That was what I was trying to say, and that's more clearly stated. Thank you. Okay. Any other questions in the chat or from directly? We have a question regarding the funding support. If I said funding support for X and Y for 2 years at some Z1 and Z2 FTE to match with categorized proposal size, it could be full support on first year and partial support on second year. Do I need to be this specific, or is general support for X and Y for 2 years good? Do you want to handle this one, Vivian?
Sure, I can probably handle both of the questions. I mean, the point is really, you give us the most information that you can to really tell us, the amount of support that you need for your investigation to be carried out successfully if selected for an award. So I would say, you in terms of like the distribution of funds, maybe like I think it should be like, oh, if so and so, if X is going to be doing blah during year one and Y is going to be doing blah during like part of year two, I think that information would be helpful, if that makes sense. And then also for number 2, I'm reading here regarding to team expertise. Should we write anonymous? No, that's the one document that is not anonymized. So you do tell us, who the team is and what expertise that you have, in the team expertise document, and only there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I presume you mean team expertise, you mean within that separate document.
Yeah, so the team expertise document is going to be hidden from the panel reviewers during the evaluation, the scientific evaluation of the proposals until selection.
So I do have another question about this funding, following on from this. There's been a lot of questions about like FTEs and persons, but what about like things like travel or like to conferences, to present at conferences, or like requesting like, I don't know, like a computer to do, if they want to do processing on their own machine instead of on Nexus or something. Is that something that would go in the funding as well?
I mean, you can include that in the implementation. I mean, we're going to be using a formulaic means to, using X, Y, and Z to put it into the formula to determine the level of funding. So if there's an excessive need for any certain type of things that is not, normally taken care in by these formulas, then, feel free to say it, but that's generally how it's going to be done.
Okay, thanks. Any other questions? I think we can wait maybe 1 more minute or 2 more minutes just to see if people ask any questions. I'll just give a reminder that we do have a week until the proposals are due. So there's certainly time to still ask questions on the help desk if you have them, if they come up tomorrow. Okay, here's another question. I think essentially the question is, can the headings under the figures and tables be less than 12 point as long as it is legible? Does every text in the entire figure and the proposal have to be 12 point, or can the captions for the figures in the tables be less than 12 point?
Yeah, so I mean, as the call stated, we just wanted people to be using sensible kind of judgment. Imagine if you were the reviewer, what kind of text would you find? I'm not going to police like, this font is like 11.5 as opposed to, well, in the figures and tables, right? Like is 11.5 as opposed to 12. But if people are using font 6 letters and making it really hard for reviewers to read, I think that would not be a good thing, even if it's not exactly non-compliant, perhaps, or if it's brought up to our attention, then we might have to make a call.
So I think yes, within the page limits. So it
I
sounds like,
understand.
yeah, you are allowed to have captions that are less than 12 point, but it sounds like it's recommended to be reasonable. You want to keep your reviewers happy, so don't use tiny font. Yeah, fair. Okay. I will pause again in case there are any questions in the chat. Again, you're welcome to unmute if you prefer as well. Yeah, agreed. Thanks for contributing these questions, everyone.
So Tiffany, I had just a FAQ like question or something I think people might
Yeah.
want to know. So, I mean, the questions are coming in at a much more rapid pace these days, as we expect. Are all the questions going to the FAQ page, or only if they meet some threshold of commonality or something? So how are we filtering questions that come in versus the ones that end up on the FAQ page?
Yeah, so the FAQ page we call knowledge base on the help desk, the Roman help desk page. And we enter those as we see questions that are common repeated questions. So not every question is going on there. But it's basically it's meant to support both the people asking the questions, but also the people answering them in order to say, oh, we've had this question before, here's the answer.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But we are striving to answer every question and actually managing to keep up
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
from the
So,
people
yeah.
asking.
Yeah. So all questions we respond to at least with a holding message within 48 hours, but usually we strive to get the answer within 1 or 2 days. So the only reason it would ever be delayed is if, it's a complicated question that involves a lot of people. But yeah, we have a whole team, both at SSC and at SOC, and including PSO people as well, to address all of these questions. And as you say, they are coming in very quickly now, and that's good. That means people are really, thinking about good things and they're working on their proposals. But yeah, we're striving to answer them as quickly as possible.
Okay, thanks. I thought people would want to understand the process,
Yeah.
perhaps.
Yeah, that's helpful. Thanks. Okay, so I think maybe I'll pause for just 1 more minute and see if there's any more questions. Okay, I'm gonna say that those are all the questions for our live session. And remember, you can always ask questions on the Roman Help Desk, as we mentioned, anytime after this call. So you still have lots of opportunities to get answers to your questions. Thank you everyone for joining today, for asking your questions. This is all really useful, and good luck with your proposals. Contact the help desk if you need help. And thank you. That's it from us. Thanks so much. Oh, and remember to go back and review our previous webinars from Ready, Set, Roman. If you have specific questions, go have a look at our outer space page, and you can watch all of our previous videos on YouTube as well. Thanks, everyone. Good luck.
Also, before
Yeah.
we go, I have one announcement that I was thinking of.
Go ahead.
For those of you there's a couple familiar names here who've been following us this whole season, so thank you. This sort of wraps up our webinar series for the time being. We wanted to get everyone through Cycle 1 Call for Proposals, but you can tell your friends and collaborators we're going to come back, hopefully, at a future date. To get the community prepared for the Cycle 1 data. So make sure that if you haven't already to sign up to our mailing list, it's on our website about how to do that. And keep your eyes peeled for the announcement for our resumption of the webinar series. So thank you to everyone.
Ori, when do you think you might restart, like approximately?
Well, I didn't want to say that because we need to discuss that internally amongst all of us.
Okay, that's fine.
But I would personally like, so since people are listening, for full transparency, we need to all focus on launch and commissioning. We're going to be very strapped for time getting the Cycle 1 proposals reviewed, implemented. So if I were to guess, I would love to bring this back in January of 2027. Once the surveys have started and data are starting to roll in.
Once we get out of commissioning, that's a good. It's a good idea to to sort of refocus onto data analysis and
Yeah.
looking at data analysis. I think that's a good idea.
Excellent.
Yeah, that sounds like a good plan. And so for now, we are your resource for cycle 1. So go back, watch our videos, reach out to the help desk, and tune back in a couple months soon after launch, maybe just after commissioning, to learn more about the data itself. Okay, thank you everyone. Good luck.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.